Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. It's remaining very unsettled and pretty warm. Winds do veer from slightly more of a westerly direction over the next few days, so not quite as warm, humid and thundery as we have seen over the last couple of days, but that could return by the end of the week into the weekend. And as we see with the GFS, GEM, Eastern OF and the ensembles, the end of this month into the start of November, so in around the Halloween period, we could be seeing some real warm 20 plus degrees looking likely. Once again, upper air temperatures could peak at 15 degrees at 850 HPA down in the southeast. So similar sort of air masses we've seen the last week or so, but this is getting towards the end of October and the start of November. Even more ridiculous than the past week we have had. Now, beyond that, it does look extremely likely it does return back towards average in the first week of November, but at least for the next 7 days, maybe even the next 10 days, we are well above average. So warm out there, we have some sunshine, but of course it's under lower pressure influence, especially further westwards, so it's going to remain fairly unsettled. And whenever we see these pushes of warm air, especially later this week, there could be a return once again to thunderstorms. But for the next 2 or 3 days at least, with a more of a westerly flow, with the cooler air pushing in, I don't think there will be too many bigger storms around. More likely just moderate to heavy rain. So, do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. If you're interested about what's been happening across the winter, go to and check out our third winter look ahead we posted yesterday. We'll have a look at the stratosphere in detail. And again, the possibility of weaker than average polar vortex winds up in the stratosphere towards November and December, which could help the potential for colder than average weather at the start of the winter before potentially milder than average winter towards the second half. So do check that out if you want to see that in more detail. So do start on the live radar. You can see again another rash of showers around, but nothing particularly heavy. A few little orangey and yellow colours, so moderate to heavy rain there, but nothing torrential at all. No reds that we've been seeing a lot over the last few days with those big thunderstorms pushing up from the south. But it is widely pretty dry, but there are these areas of pockets of precipitation, remnants of thunderstorms from last night, and just areas of convection pushing in. And as I said, the wind direction is veering more from a westerly over the next couple of days. So the western areas, of course, are going to get peppered more with these showers, and they are likely to be not quite as torrential and organised because we've got less energy within the atmosphere. So that is one good thing over the next few days, and eastern areas are most likely to get a little bit dry because they have been peppered at least the next day, last day or two with those big thunderstorms. And if we do put the temperatures on around 9 a.m. as I'm recording this, you can see those temperatures are really not too bad. Blues hinting on yellows, and some areas even getting properly yellow there. That's temperatures into the low to mid-teens, which you'd expect for our daytime high, not our 9 a.m. observation. So it is ridiculously warm, and those temperatures again today will be reaching high teens in some areas, and later this week, as we see another push of warmer air, could be getting towards 20 degrees. If we do go over to the UKV and see what that is showing over the next 5 days, now you can see as we head through this afternoon, you can see not too many showers around, a few heavy, maybe the isolated thundery shower around, but again, nothing too crazy, nothing multi-celled like we've been seeing over the last couple of days. Through this evening, you see showers in the west, and again, mostly in the west because we've got more westerly flow, and that continues to push in. You can see by Tuesday afternoon, potentially some more heavier precipitation gathering to our south and our west. That does push in, heading in a northerly track up through northern England and Scotland, and you can still see it is generally a westerly flow. Most of this precipitation is in the west. And then eventually, as we head towards Wednesday, we'll see those winds veer more of a southerly direction again. And you can see all of this rain starting to head northwards, and the precipitation looks likely to turn heavier. You can see more reds within some of these showers and areas of precipitation, and it's moving all in a northerly direction. Very little westerly or west-east influence here. So wind direction veering more of a northerly, and it becomes much warmer in terms of air masses. No signs of anything significant in terms of thunderstorms here, but if we have a look at the air masses, you can see, at least there for Friday and Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, you can see ridiculously warm air mass. So I'd be surprised if we did see any instability come inside of this, that they could turn thundery. So we'll have to see what happens later this week. But that is going to mean those 2 metre temperatures are going to be ridiculously warm. And if we do view them now, you can see this afternoon temperatures are set widely mid to high teens, maybe 16, 17, 18 degrees. Not quite as warm as the last few days, but it's because the wind, as I said, is more from a westerly direction. If we do have a look at the or the 2 metre temperatures for Tuesday, slightly warmer, more 16, 17, 18. Again, quite pleasant for this time of year, and much milder than average. And into Wednesday, those temperatures rise again to perhaps in around that 18, 19, maybe even 20 degree range as that warm air starts to waft up from the south again. And as we head towards Thursday, look at that 20 degrees seen in London and central, southern and eastern England. So yeah, ridiculously warm for this time of year with that warm air pushing in. And Friday, again, high teens, maybe 17, 18, 19 degrees. So very, very warm later this week. 20 degrees looks very possible and potentially even quite likely in a few spots. And yeah, going very warm. And the threat of thunderstorms return, I'm not seeing on the UKV today, but with instability around, low pressure around, and that warmer air returning later this week, then I wouldn't be surprised to see some big thunderstorms return, at least for some. Now, if you go over to the GFS as you were showing over the next couple of weeks, you can see at the moment we've got more of a westerly flow. Look at that tilt this afternoon, more of a westerly influence. But later this week, especially as we head into Wednesday and Thursday, look at that, more of a direct southerly, and that's why we see extremely warm air mass push in. Now again, it's all about the dividing line between higher pressure, lower pressure. This was positioned slightly further eastwards, then perhaps we could see more thunderstorms. But look at the air mass as we head into Friday. The 15-degree isotherm does just skim by the far southeast before eventually low pressure does move back in. But again, very warm air gets picked up by another low for Saturday and Sunday before eventually getting swept away. We're back into slightly cooler air with more of a westerly influence once again. Again, still milder than average, but more of a westerly influence, so not quite as warm as this southerly flow has been. Beyond that, all the way to day 10 and beyond, we keep the temperatures on. You can see a bit of a northerly flow there, but it's very transient. And as we get towards the end, we see a flat westerly, a typical pest from the west pattern that could be really quite stormy. No signs of that blocking we've been alluding to on the wind to look ahead. So that is one very interesting thing we've got to keep an eye on over the next few weeks. Are all the signals we've got, all the long range signals, seasonal signals, month ahead signals that we're getting in the winter look ahead, are those going to start replicating themselves in the mid-range to long-range models, sort of the 10 to 14 day time frame, like the GFS, GM, ECWF, and various ensembles? Are we going to start to see that replicated? As I said yesterday, no sign of that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did start to see some colder runs, some blocking appearing within the next week or two. So it's something to keep an eye on. But today, a very strong polar vortex, at least in the troposphere here, from the GFS, with a big westerly flow, keeping things really quite mild, potentially even dry there right towards 384 hours, but I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't last long, with low pressure running in off the Atlantic. But the theme is still there, very mild, on and off rain, some very heavy at times, some lighter at times, and then maybe even some dry weather at times as well. If you go to the GM, see how that does compare. Again, we got the westerly influence at the moment, then the wind veers more southerly later this week, then very warm, and low pressure gets picked up, so it could be quite stormy there for a time, but it does fill in. We just remain with this southerly flow all the way to day 10, ridiculously warm. Again, oscillating air masses because we can't hold that sort of 10 to 15 degree air the whole time. It's not possible this time of year. But you can see, look at that, 15-degree isotherm engulfing most of England and Wales on Sunday. Extremely warm. Look at the temperature deviation, 12 degrees above average widely. Look at the 2 metre temperatures. Zoom in on the United Kingdom, and you can see 22 degrees across East Anglia and South East England. Mid-20s, so maybe even high 20s across parts of northern France. Ridiculous temperatures for the 30th of October. So yeah, gonna have to see what happens with this. For the time being, looking very warm as we head back into the weekend. We'll have to keep an eye on the UKV, where that does start to pick up this very warm weather into the weekend, because it can't quite get that into it. It's a 5-day time frame as of yet, but we'll probably be able to see tomorrow. If you do check out the ECMWF, see what that is showing over the next 10 days. Again, a westerly flow at the moment. Southerly winds do continue to pick up later this week, and we remain southerly, maybe veering more westerly right towards the end, but very similar to the other runs. And again, if we put the upper air temperatures on, look at that later this week. The 15-degree isotherm does move in for a time at least, and it remains very mild right towards the end. And we're back towards average. Look at the temperature deviation. This is when it's slightly cooler, not with a southerly flow. We were average to above average, so it doesn't look likely to dip anywhere below average for the next week to 10 days at least. Beyond that, though, there definitely is a signal for things to return more towards average, but as I said, we'll have to see. But for the time being, very mild, pretty unsettled, especially in the west, but there could be some drier interludes at times. Now, if you finish the video by having a look at the Ensemble from the GFS, you can see over the next 7 days into the start of November, we are well above average. The next couple of days, you can see we're only slightly above average, and that's why we, as I said, reduced in terms of surface temperatures and reducing intensity of those showers, so less thunderstorms around, at least for the next few days, before we see another temperature spike later this week around the 28th, 30th of October. Incredible warmth. The GFS operational does 2 temperature spikes there, others more reluctant. Those temperatures do trend more towards average, probably around that 1st to 5th of November time, and right towards the end of the extended range, right towards the first 10 days of November, around the 5th to the 10th, we are average to below average. So definitely a trend of turning more towards average, but we want to see that within the 10-day time frame before we can say it with too much certainty. But the ensemble is definitely trending more towards average. But for the foreseeable future, the next 7 to 10 days, it's remaining intensely mild. And you can see precipitation is still there, not ridiculously high, because a lot of the precipitation, at least for London, will be convective based, i.e. heavy showers and thunderstorms, which aren't difficult for the ensemble members to pick up because they are very localised features, but there is that likelihood as well. And if we do look at the ECMWF as well, just to compare it, the midnight run hasn't run, but we've got the midday run from yesterday again, extremely mild, trending towards average again around the 4th, 5th of November. But yeah, very warm. Quite unsettled as well, especially further westwards, but there will be drier interludes, and yeah, it's looking really out of normal, this sort of weather. It's usual to see a couple of days of this here and there during the autumn. We're seeing this persistently for a few weeks now, so very mild, very warm, and yeah, big thunderstorms seen yesterday, which we'd expect to have seen in the middle of summer. There was intense lightning with that, so do check out the video from yesterday. I did publish on those thunderstorms in sort of the nowcast situation. Of course, check out Twitter as well. I did retweet a lot of images and charts from those thunderstorms if you are interested to see what they were like, if you did miss sort of what the radar captures and stuff like that. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.